Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to celebrate the union of Admiral Biggs. Oh, shoot. Okay, so some of you might not know I am actually a licensed local pastor in the United Methodist Church, and I serve a small congregation in South Mills, and I must have gotten my notes mixed up. So bear with me. No, you know what? Actually, second thought, I think I got it right. Because after all, we are gathered this evening to celebrate a special union. The union that Bruce and Anna Biggs have with this community. The love that they share, the way that they approach philanthropy is very much a sacred commitment, much like the union of marriage. Just like a loving spouse that gives without expectation of anything in return, that's what Bruce and Anna Biggs have done for years. You know, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4 tells us, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. I think that describes Bruce and Anna's philanthropic approach to our community perfectly. They have lovingly given to so many worthy causes without any fanfare. And so tonight, we lift them up to be recognized and perhaps more importantly, to be emulated. After all, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You know, I started my remarks about us gathering for the union of Admiral Biggs. And the reason I use that reference is that that is the level of giving that Bruce and Anna Biggs have given in what we refer to as our Keel Club. So you should see on your tables there's some brochures that were left at the center that talk about our Keel Club. And so those are donors who give at what we call our leadership level, but there's levels even within that level. The top one being what we refer to as the Admiral level. And that's where Bruce and Anna are. And it's appropriate. I was talking with some of the folks at my table about, why is it called the Keel Club? Well, think about the keel of a ship. The keel of the ship is the timber that supports not only the bow and the stern, but every piece of framework to that ship. You have to have a sturdy keel in order to have a sturdy ship. I think it's pretty apropos being in a coastal community that we have that visual of a keel of a ship. And again, I think it certainly portrays the Biggs level of giving, because when we do see a mighty sailing ship going across the seas, you don't even see the keel, do you? It's below the surface of the water, yet it's vital to the strength and sturdiness of that ship. Well, here at the Albemarle Area United Way, we are expanding our fleet. We need more keels. We need to strengthen the existing ones. You see, as I've come to find as the leader of this United Way for about 2 years now, the need in our community is great. While the United Way movement has grown tremendously in the past couple of years, we still have a lot of programs that go underfunded. So I ask you to give some consideration and thought, if you don't currently support our United Way, you're not a member of the Keel Club, to consider that form of flattery, imitating the Biggs that we honor this evening. If you're already a Keel Club donor, first and foremost, I want to recognize and thank you. Would all of you in the room that are current Keel Club members please stand to be recognized? To each of you, I give thanks, but then you're not off the hook. I ask you to consider increasing your gift. As I said before, the need in our community is great. I mentioned earlier hiring Monica Oakes to head up the Community Care Collaborative. That's the newest ship that we've added to our fleet. And the CCC serves as a central repository with our 21 partner agencies and 15 affiliates, where we're that networker. We're able to help folks plug into what resources can help them for long-term sustainability. And so now we actually have opened our doors to not only direct folks to particular agencies, but sometimes help them bridge the gap. When something like a hot water tank explodes or a tire goes flat on your car, and most folks in our community, the ones that are fortunate enough to have jobs, are going paycheck to paycheck. And so that $200, $300 repair to the vehicle or the water tank is unbudgeted, unexpected, and it could turn into a tailspin. And so through generous donations from private donors and individuals and grants, we've raised some money to be able to bridge that gap, to solve that problem before it becomes something much, much worse. I'm really excited to share with you, as I talked about not letting you current Keel Club donors off the hook, that I had a conversation just recently with some of our Keel Club donors that we were talking about the CCC and the needs in our community. And so these folks have graciously agreed to double their current Keel Club gift. They realize that the dollars that they've given in years past, we don't want to rob from the programs that are already funded and existing, but this other need exists and is great. And so they've said, Bill, we're going to give what we've always given, but we're going to give you double that, and it's going to CCC. See, they have blessed others with their blessings, and I want to thank that couple for doing that. But tonight we honor a different couple. Tonight we honor Bruce and Anna Biggs for what they have done in their leadership and quietly beneath the surface being that stable keel for so many in our community. So what I'd like to do next is actually turn the microphone over to David Wright. He is the principal agent at GR Little Insurance and has been a friend of the Biggs for nearly 40 years. David, would you come up and share a little bit about why we're honoring the Biggs tonight?
Good evening. What a crowd. It is indeed my honor and privilege to stand before you this evening and recognize and pay tribute to Bruce and Anna Biggs as recipients of the United Way Inaugural Keel Club Philanthropy Award. I suspect that many of you already know most of what I'm about to say. Perhaps I can add a personal touch and tell you a few other things that you may not know about these two remarkable people that I profoundly admire and respect. We are gathered here tonight to honor Bruce and Anna because of their years of dedicated support to the United Way. However, this is just a small part of the story because, as all of you know, Bruce and Anna are more than just generous supporters of the United Way. They are very visible patrons to multiple organizations throughout our community and beyond. Their financial support of local and regional charities is unsurpassed by others. They truly believe in serving others in our community, clearly demonstrating a willing desire to give back, and are always among the first to respond to a worthy cause. Many of us have one or two pet projects that we support with our time and our resources. Bruce and Anna seem to support them all. In short, they walk the walk. Bruce and Anna are two of the most humble individuals you'll ever meet. They always put the needs of others ahead of themselves. They do this quietly, not drawing attention to themselves, and do so simply because they believe it is the right thing to do. So Bruce and Anna, please forgive me if I unintentionally embarrass you as I share a few stories of your character as seen through my eyes. I recall a few years ago that Bruce, as a member of the Elizabeth City Rotary Club, personally purchased multiple copies of the motivational book, I Dare You, to be given to local high school graduating seniors. Some of you may be familiar with the book written by William Danforth, the founder of Ralston Purina. The book is a short read, and although it was written in 1931, the message is timeless. Mr. Danforth was a strong believer that we limit ourselves, and that by seizing opportunity and believing in our virtually unlimited potential, we can all exceed expectations, including our own, and dare to be great. He goes on to suggest that there are 4 core pillars that are essential for a young person to develop as they begin their life's journey. The 4 pillars are physical, mental, social, and religious. Mr. Danforth writes that to be successful in life, you need for all 4 to stay in balance. One area should not develop at the expense of the other. Sound advice, and not just for a young person beginning their life's journey. Those of you that know Bruce well know that he strives to live his life by fully embracing and balancing these 4 core principles. The words honesty, integrity, and respect all come to mind when describing the character of Bruce Biggs. Bruce is soft-spoken. He does not charge into a room and command attention to himself. Quite the contrary. He listens intently to what you have to say before speaking. And when he does respond, he does so in well thought out, measured tones. Many of us, and I'm looking in the mirror when I say this, would be well served to learn from Bruce and choose our words carefully when responding to others. It has been said that behind every good man is a great woman. Those that know Anna Biggs will agree with me. After a long and distinguished career in the local public schools, Anna has devoted much of her time to serving on the historic Bath Commission in her beloved town of Bath. She has worked tirelessly to help acquire and preserve historic properties in that beautiful coastal community. Let me pause for a moment and share with you a quick sidebar related to Anna's service on the Historic Bath Commission. A year or so ago, Holly and I were with Bruce and Anna in Pinehurst, and her cell phone rang. It was a number she did not recognize. I immediately launched into multiple reasons why you should never answer unsolicited calls to your cell phone, and tried to convince her that it was simply someone wanted to take a poll or sell her something. Well, as you might expect, Anna being Anna could not help herself, and after multiple rings, she answered. I was standing beside her, and the call went something like this. This is Anna Biggs. He's fine. Then there was a long silence as Anna was listening intently to the caller. Anna finally responded, I understand. Let me think about it, and I'll get back with you. At this point, I was feeling quite smug, believing that I was right, and the call indeed was an unsolicited scam of some sort. Anna then ends the call by saying, thank you for your call, Governor. The governor of North Carolina was calling to ask Anna to please consider serving another term on the Historic Bath Commission. Moral of the story, you might want to answer your cell phone the next time it rings and you do not recognize the number because it could very well be the governor. I'm proud to say that Bruce and Anna are faithful members of our church. Through the years, both have been active in multiple church leadership roles, and each has served on the vestry many times. A story you may not know is that of St. Philip's. St. Philip's is the beautiful chapel located across the street from Christ Episcopal Church. Many of you may recall that several years ago, an old concrete block warehouse owned by Belks stood on the site. the building was eventually sold to the church with plans to tear it down and make way for a parking lot. However, Bruce and Anna had a different vision. They were part of a core group that were instrumental in leading the charge to save St. Philip's from ruin and worked tirelessly with their time, talent, and treasure to have the chapel relocated to its present site and restore this beautiful historical structure to its former glory. In short, Bruce and Anna are humble servants to the Lord and their church and live their life following the golden rule. Like many of you, I recently watched the wonderful documentary by Ken Burns on country music. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend that you try and watch the replay, even if you're not a fan of country music. I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. What does my promotion for a documentary on country music have to do with Bruce and Anna? Permit me to give you my thoughts. The title of the final episode was Don't Get Above Your Raisin, which for those of you in the room from above the Mason-Dixon line is a Southern term loosely translated to mean that as you become successful in life, don't forget your roots and where you came from. Stay humble. Upon reflection, I immediately thought of Bruce and Anna, their character, the way they treat others, and the way they lead their lives. Neither has forgotten their roots and the core values taught to them at an early age growing up together in rural Beaufort County. Bruce and Anna have taught me many things through the years. I can now add to that list. Stay humble and don't get above your raisin. I could go on with more illustrations of Bruce and Anna's incomparable character, but I promised Bill I would keep my remarks to 10 minutes. There are others here this evening that could easily stand before you and share similar stories of how profoundly Bruce and Anna have touched their lives. Several are seated here at the front this evening. Terry and Brenda Daniels. See Clint and Judy Midkiff, John and Nell Morrison, Brick and Mary Craig Barham, Ray and Linda White, Catherine Jackson. All are dear friends that have been blessed, like Holly and I, to share many of life's special moments with Bruce and Anna. Births of our children and grandchildren, the celebration of birthdays and holidays, graduations, weddings, anniversaries, travel, many rounds of golf, countless meals together, lots of laughter, and yes, a few tears. These are all singular life events that woven together form a beautiful, rich tapestry of cherished memories. My family has been greatly blessed knowing and loving Bruce and Anna Biggs. I am honored and proud to call them my friends. Thank you.
Bruce and Anna, would you please come forward so we can present you with your Philanthropy Award? So if you hadn't seen the award that was up here on the podium, on the table, we're going to put this in a bag for you to be able to take home this evening. But in addition to the inaugural Keel Club Philanthropy Award, we thought so highly of Bruce and Anna that, and when I say high, I mean high, like out of this world. So we actually had a star named after the two of you. So it's this star, and it describes down here exactly which constellation and declination and magnitude and all that kind of stuff. But there's a star now named after both of you, Bruce and Anna Biggs. So at this time, we are very fortunate to have Bruce and Anna's children have made the trek here for this special evening. And one, Heidi and Monica, we've got to do our little notes. You know, I feel like we didn't forget anything until just a little bit ago. We didn't bring tissue boxes because I saw so many tears, which they were all happy tears for you all, but we'll do that in the future. But Douglas has come all the way from Atlanta to be here this evening, and Britt from Rocky Mount. And Douglas has graciously agreed to come and share a few remarks with all of us gathered this evening as well. So Douglas.
Good evening. David, thank you for those kind remarks and for you and Holly's wonderful relationship with our entire family over the last 40 years. Also want to thank Bill and the United Way. Obviously, this is a tremendous honor for my parents to be recognized with the inaugural Keel Club Award. But I know the recognition has never been the goal, and in my parents' mind, they realize their philanthropy is not necessarily unique. They have a shared sense of duty to a community that has provided a wonderful and enriching life. They're grateful for their friends throughout Elizabeth City and all the amazing colleagues they've worked with to help build a business over the last 37 years. Bill wanted us to give some anecdotal stories about our childhood and Britt and I's perspective on our parents' philanthropy, what has shaped it and how it's evolved. As a child, most of this is remembered in bits and pieces, but several memories are clear, such as always waiting for Mom and Dad to come home from whatever nightly meeting they had before having dinner as a family, the countless vestry, St. Philip's, United Way, or food bank meetings. I also have a distinct memory of going to 4-H livestock auctions as a child, and I enjoyed every minute of it. The smells, the excitement of the auction, and just being with Dad. The mechanics and reasons were fairly confusing to a 10-year-old boy. Dad would buy a steer or pig, but we never got to take it home. And I remember having a discussion with Dad on the way home one night, just why did we bid on something we don't need, and in my mind, never really saw the benefit from. And Dad's reply was very simple. We need to be a part of this community. It's the right thing to do. Mom serving on Altar Guild or Dad going into his study to put a check in an envelope every Sunday became as much a part of the routine as the service itself. I was never aware of the amount of the checks, but always very cognizant of their consistency. The Bible tells you to give freely and happily of your time, talents, and treasures, and I believe my parents have made every effort. Both our parents grew up in rural eastern North Carolina in a much different time than today. Their parents had lived through the Great Depression, and this influenced how they raised their own children. As a result, my parents were instilled with a deep sense of gratitude that exists to this day. The expression, "to whom much is given, much is expected," was used countless times in our house growing up. Now, this next story, I had a panic when David started talking about the country music PBS special, but I've got a different story to kind of share from that. So as David mentioned, my parents have been recently watching the documentary, which was written and produced by Ken Burns, and it's a comprehensive series on the history and evolution of country music and its effect on the United States. After watching an episode that chronicled the early 1950s, my dad shared a childhood story with my mom that she'd never heard. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, after 53 years of marriage, those stories have become surprising. Those stories that are surprising are fairly rare. As a child, my dad, alongside his brother and older sister, would sing and perform as a group at their church and other local gatherings. They would sing popular songs from the 40s and 50s with the occasional gospel song. All of this has become something of family lore, as I have a hard time envisioning Dad as a child performer at county fairs and the like. But there are some pictures, so I believe, directionally it's correct. Watching the documentary must have triggered a memory in my dad's mind, and he said to Mom, I only remember them passing the plate once after we sang. Now you may, as I did, this observation explains why singing was probably never a long-term career goal, thankfully. But Mom asked the obvious question, well, Bruce, how much did you make? And Dad's response was telling, as always, and he said, I don't remember exactly the amount, but I know it was enough to buy Mama a big cookie. So you see, Dad's mom, my grandmother, at the time had missed this particular performance because she was in the hospital giving birth to her sixth child. But Dad's first thought was to buy something for his mom that was in the hospital. Empathy and generosity have been cultivated over life experiences, but I believe the foundation of these characteristics were innate with both my parents at a young age. There are business owners around this great country of ours involved in local communities, and they should serve as inspirations to us all. My parents have consistently answered the call. They view philanthropy as a moral obligation, and they realize that they are two individuals that have been blessed with a lifetime of opportunities. I want to thank everyone here for coming and supporting my parents, and also for your own support of the United Way with your own generosity. Winston Churchill observed, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Thank you all.
Well, Bruce and Anna, I sure hope you're feeling the love in this room tonight and your honor. There are a couple of folks that couldn't be here. One in particular, who I know you love and adore very much. You see him mostly at the dealership, but he's out of the country. Rick Duran wanted me to, on his behalf, to tell you how proud and how thankful and what a privilege it is to work for you both, and just, again, the example you have set for him in terms of your philanthropy. You heard several folks talking about their involvement in church and with the vestry and different things as well. I wanted you to know that Father Chip Broadfoot would have made the trek back here to be here this evening if it wasn't for the fact that he's at the Diocesan Convention out in Asheville, where he is now. But he sent a beautiful letter that if folks would indulge me in allowing me to read this, because I think it, again, is a testament to your character and all that you've done. Dear Bill, Becky and I thank you for informing us that Bruce and Anna Biggs will be the recipients of the AAUW's inaugural Keel Club Philanthropy Award. We are scheduled to attend our diocesan convention in Asheville, and unfortunately we cannot attend this exciting event. We will always be humbled that we were called to serve the good people of Christ Episcopal Church from 2014 to 2019 and to work with wonderful local clergy as well as the United Way on many local collaborative efforts. I distinctly remember meeting Anna for the first time. Anna made an appointment to visit with me on one of the first days in my new office. It was obvious to me from the moment we met that the parish's mission and ministry was very important to the Biggs family. Without the support of the Biggs offered me as parish rector, many of the collaborative community-wide endeavors would have been sorely affected. Luke 10:35, the next day the Samaritan took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and when I come back I will repay you whatever more you spend." The Good Samaritan is an accurate description of the Biggs' charity toward their neighbors in need. Oh, how many times we cried help. Bruce and Anna answered every cry. And there are countless times we watched them take the initiative to help others. And they always gave with a charitable, compassionate heart, never asking for or expecting recognition and praise. I happen to have heard through the grapevine of Bruce's many anonymous charitable acts as well. One of the most extraordinary acts of life-changing giving we witnessed was when Bruce and Anna helped a young woman who was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The Biggs introduced her to the premier pancreatic cancer team from UNC Chapel Hill. Now, this young woman is approaching 3 years of cancer-free, happy life with her spouse and 3 children. And not only that, but Anna joined our prayer group every Monday morning to pray for her. We know for a fact that she's cured. We can think of no one we've known in our life more deserving than Bruce and Anna Biggs. Becky and I send our heartfelt love and congratulations to them both for this well-deserved honor. Sincerely, Reverend Chip Broadfoot. So Bruce and Anna knew they were receiving the Keel Club Philanthropy Award this evening. They didn't know about the star. That was a little bit of a surprise. But as we prepare to depart this evening, we've actually got a real big surprise that has come to us as a blessing. And so if everybody would indulge and sit still for just a few more minutes. David, would you come up to help?
As Bill says, this is a great way, excuse me, to end, pardon, what has been a fabulous evening. Forgive me. And the good news is I'm not going to have to talk through this part, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to call on my good friend and Bruce and Anna's good friend, John Morrison, to make the presentation.
Thank you. Well, this may surprise you, but I am not an emissary of the Pope from the Vatican to declare sainthood tonight. We shall now move from the sublime to the ridiculous. I know you usually do it the other way around, but I recall when Bruce worked at Wachovia Bank and he called my notes. I recalled that. You wanted the money back. And it was Friday, and I didn't have any whiskey. And you said this is a good time to sober up. I recall going to a Christmas party when I was a young and tender man, like 5,000 years ago. And the beautiful Anna Biggs was sitting across from me, and I had just met her, and I knew she was real prissy, and she was from down there in Bath and everything. So I was trying to make, well, that was high society compared to where I came from in the Cabbage Patch. But anyway, so I was trying to make a good impression on her. And Anna, she deigned to talk to me, and she said, John, I've heard all about you. And this was a formal thing, you know, we all dressed up. And she said, I got a little something for you, but it's not much. And we had all these fancy decorations on the table. And it looked like she had taken one of the decorations off the table, which was a Christmas box. And I thought, my gosh, she's giving me this present. And she put it on the table. And so I was so excited I was taking, and I began to open up the box. And it was a block of wood. It was a decoration. And she leaned over the table and said, I told you it wasn't much. So I'm not altogether impressed with the Biggs. And I would just like to say this. You ever see that wonderful commercial with Samuel Jackson on the credit card where the guy is just changed over and he's gotten this good deal? And he said, you smart doing that, Bruce. And Bruce says, yeah, I guess I am. And then he leans over and he says, don't let this go to your head, Bruce. So Bruce, you see, don't let this go to your head. All right, now, let's think about it. Bruce, the reason you're up here is you're an unsuccessful businessman. You couldn't hold on to your money. You gave it all away. And to the children, there ain't gonna be anything left. If you're looking for Daddy to get you back to Rocky Mountain, Atlanta, I don't think it's gonna happen. Now, I would like to say a few remarks. First, is the minister still here?
Yeah, he's right here.
Yeah, okay. And is the Lutheran minister still here? This is taking off. Well, it's always the bishop here. All right. My God, we can have a revival. I would just like to point out that my remarks are in danger of not going over well because I am sober. Worse yet, so are you. We ran out of wine. Somebody cut this off. I would just like to point out to the ministry here the proverb that says, wine maketh for a merry heart. Therefore, if you don't have wine, your heart don't work right. So next time when you all do something saintly like this, let's remember the wedding at Cana of Galilee. All right. Now, I do have some comments to pass on to you. I have been in touch with 3 people that spoke about Bruce. 2 of them are dead, but they still had something important to say. And I can channel them because I got superpowers that my grandson Bert helped me with. A little bit more serious. The first is this wonderful opening of chapter 44 from Sirach, the book of Sirach. It's in the Apocrypha. If you saw the wonderful movie many years ago, Chariots of Fire, it opens with this phrase: let us now praise famous men. Let me say that again. Let us now praise famous men. I won't read it to you, but I will share the thought. This beautiful poem talks about many times we think of famous men because they're well known throughout the world or their country or their state. And they have accomplished great wealth or great athletic feats, or they have written music. You know, we're talking about, or they're great politicians, and they have this name that will last forever. Okay, that's good as far as it goes. But then the poet goes on to talk about there are other men from small towns and communities who will not be remembered even 50 years from now. Their name will be as if it never was. And their children will move on and they're gone. But God knows them. And they are as famous to God as those who were on the front page of the newspaper. They worked, they labored, they took care of their families, they loved their wife, they loved their children, they built, they strived, they reached out a hand to their fellow man. And they are the famous men that deserve our praise. So much for Sirach. Now, there's this old Jewish king named Solomon. He had a right high IQ. He is reputed to be the author of the Psalms. And Bruce, he wrote about you about 3,000 years ago. And he wrote about you first. This is in the first Psalm. Now, I am using, we all have different translations, you know, the Revised Standard, the King James, the Message, and so forth. I'm using the Friends of the Bigs translation. Psalm 1. Our friend Bruce is happy. He has not walked in the course of the wicked, nor stood in the company of sinners, nor has he sat in the seat of gossips. Bruce has taken his joy in the goodness of God, and on this goodness he meditates night and day, to the benefit of his friends, his family, and his community. Bruce is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in season. His leaf does not wither, In all that he has done, he has justly prospered, and he has prospered others. He is not like the weak and characterless souls which the wind drives away like chaff. Bruce stands with approval in the presence of his God, embraced in the affection and respect of all those who seek goodness. God knows the merits of his servant Bruce and the generosity of his heart and the labor of his hand. In this divine comfort, he shall thrive all his days. Now, the other fellow I've been talking to is the governor. Me and the governor just like that. We talk all the time. That Republican Democrat thing don't bother us, except on April 15th. And His Excellency, the governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, asked me to give this, well, actually it was David Wright, but I'm going to tell you it was the governor, to tell you, Bruce, reprising special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of Bruce A. Biggs, I do by these presents confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine. That is the highest civilian honor the state of North Carolina can bestow. Keep secrets. Let's do that again. Let us now praise famous men. Okay, here endeth the lesson.
Told you we had a little bit of a surprise. Well, friends, what a fabulous evening. What a wonderful gathering and a tribute to a well-deserving couple. I hope each of you have enjoyed this time of fellowship and just the opportunity to celebrate this wonderful couple. We are concluded for the evening. If I call your name, you did win one of the silent auction items. So before you leave, if you see Heidi and Monica, Damian Dondero was an award winner. Mary Aiken won some. Andy Montero, Laura Lee Duncan, Wendy Pierce, Ron Black, Bill Gardner, and Pat Davis. So if I called your name, please see Heidi or Monica on your way out. But we are dismissed. Go and drive safe and have a wonderful evening.